Good God, Palantir is absolutely roaring higher. Right now, as of recording this video, Palantir is up 20% on the day. Why are they up 20% on the day? They reported their Q3 earnings today before the bell, before the market opened, and it was very, very, very impressive. We're gonna talk through exactly what happened, the things that I loved in there, and then some things maybe that I didn't like in there. Clearly, it was very, very positive because we're up 20% on the day. This might move up or down. After the bell, we have Apple earnings, and no matter what anyone tells you, Apple earnings will move the entire market. So we could have the whole market move higher, whole market move lower. Really depends on what Apple reports. But regardless, absolutely ridiculous day so far with Palantir. My entire portfolio was up 7.6% today. That was the highest I saw. It's a little lower than that now at 7.49% up. This is not only from Palantir, but also SoFi's up 8%. Tesla's up 6.5%. Honest is up 5.5%. That's amazing. I haven't seen that in a long time. Upwork is up 8%. Upstart is up almost 12%. PayPal's up 6.5%. Shopify is up even more than Palantir, 23%. And I could keep on going. But anyway, this is not about all those other stocks. This is about Palantir stock, okay? So let's talk about it. We're gonna get into it, but before we do all that, if you're new here, I'm Austin. I'm a co-owner of cloudmusictweet.com. I'm a stock market investor, and most importantly for this video, I'm a Palantir shareholder. I have been for quite a while now. Been an insane ride and a very, very fun stock to hold and a very rewarding stock to hold. If you wanna hear more about Palantir, all the stocks I just listed out about 30 seconds ago, and many, many more opportunities in the market, consider joining us in the Patreon. That'll be the pinned comment down there, and there's a link in the description. Go ahead and join us in there. Kind of a no-brainer. And then if you're not subscribed to the channel, 2,300 something subscribers, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And as a thank you for doing all that, here's a picture of all my animals. My dog, she's a standard poodle, her name's Penny, and then my two cats, Millie and Luna. I appreciate you in a major way. Thank you so much. Let's dive into the video. So, headline numbers on Palantir, it was beat after beat after beat after beat. This is especially impressive because so many companies that I've seen report lately have been absolute trash. I've seen plenty of B grade earnings, I've seen plenty of C grade earnings, I've seen D grade earnings, and I've seen F grade earnings, quite a few throughout this earnings season. And even last earnings season, some were just totally terrible. And a lot of it was citing tight financial conditions because of the Fed having rates higher for longer and the consumer being in a worse spot. Thankfully, Palantir seems to be insulated from this in a major way, and they've moved a lot of their cash into marketable securities, so they're getting paid interest on a lot of the cash that's on their balance sheet, okay? We'll talk about that in a little bit, but very, very good quarter for Palantir. Let's start to dive into it. We're gonna handle the headline numbers first. Number one of the most important things for Palantir's story and investor sentiment moving forward is that they just reported their fourth quarter in a row of GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, net income, and as a result, obviously EPS, which is earnings per share. So fourth quarter in a row. The reason that's really important is because that's one of the criteria in order to get included into the S&P 500. The sum of your last 4 quarters has to be positive EPS, and your most recent quarter that you report has to be positive EPS before there's any consideration that you'll be included into the S&P 500. There's multiple other criteria, but Palantir has had all the other criteria for quite some time now. So that was kind of the last one they had to get. So as it relates to investor sentiment with Palantir, that is huge because potentially S&P 500 inclusion could be coming down the road. Does that mean it's going to happen by the end of 2023? Very unlikely, but it could happen throughout 2024, and then maybe in a bad scenario, it could happen in 2025 if it just gets pushed out and they get snubbed a few times. But regardless, probably S&P 500 inclusion is going to come down the road, or at least the talks around Palantir being in the S&P 500 are going to intensify as they keep on reporting profitable quarter after profitable quarter after profitable quarter. As it relates to that EPS, the specific number they reported on a GAAP basis was 3 cents per share. No, that's not a lot, but they are just in the process of turning that profitability corner and becoming a profitable stock on a regular basis. Just looking at quarter over quarter numbers though, last quarter, Q2 of 2023, they reported 1 cent of GAAP EPS. Now, 1 quarter later, they report 3 cents of GAAP EPS. That's a 3x, guys. These net income growth numbers and these EPS growth numbers are gonna look kind of crazy for a little while. To have a 200% increase in 1 quarter span on the EPS to go from 1 cent to 3 cents is ridiculous. So the numbers look absolutely crazy, and obviously that net income is growing way faster than the revenue. Revenue was about 17% for this quarter, 200% on the net income and the EPS number. Absolutely ridiculous. That's what should be happening for Palantir as they turn that profitability corner. Now, this next number is really important to me. I love that Palantir is profitable and they've had positive net income for 4 quarters in a row, but way more important to me is that we have positive income from operations, not 1 quarter in a row, not 2 quarters in a row, but now this is the 3rd quarter in a row of GAAP income from operations being positive. And I have some numbers for you here. This quarter, they reported $40 million of GAAP income from operations. When we look just 1 quarter ago, their GAAP income from operations was only $10 million. Holy crap, that's a 4x of income from operations. And even more important than that, as we look at this chart here, the income from operations number is now higher than their interest income number. Palantir was getting a lot of hate from some analysts, some people on YouTube. Generally, investors were like, really? Do I really want a company that's basically a bond fund, they were saying, because they're getting a lot of net interest income? Well, now they've eclipsed their net interest income, even though it rose on a quarter-over-quarter basis. That operating income 4x'd on a quarter-over-quarter basis, and now it has passed the interest income number. So really, really good sign from Palantir. Income from operations is absolutely the thing that de-risks the business model in the biggest way. Net income, great. But remember, the T-bills that they have, the treasuries that they have right now are not always going to pay these crazy, crazy high rates. So that's a short-term thing that's helping Palantir on the net income numbers. But if they can keep that short-term net income with the interest income flowing in and keep on putting the income from operations in a better and better and better spot, once the interest income starts to drop off a little bit, it's really not going to hurt Palantir in any big way in the financials, assuming they keep on this train of absolute ridiculous income from operations growth. Speaking of growth, let's talk about that revenue growth. We had a revenue growth of 17% on a year-over-year basis, all the way up to $558 million, and that was a beat by about $2 or $3 million. So good, they beat on EPS, they beat on adjusted EPS, they beat on income from operations, they beat on revenue. Crazy, 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 crazy. Is 17% growth what we want to see from Palantir? No, but there was commentary that they feel as though AIP, the artificial intelligence platform, is going to create that incremental revenue as we move through the next few quarters. They said it's hard to model when and how much it's going to be, but they are confident that the revenue growth is going to accelerate again. That was the general gist I got from the conference call. Revenue growth was driven mostly by US commercial growth. US commercial growth is up 33% as it relates to revenue, and US customer count on the commercial side was up 37% on a year-over-year basis. Let's move on to expenses. Comparing this quarter to the year-ago quarter, cost of revenue, which is like cost of goods sold, went up by almost nothing. Absolutely amazing. $107,922,000 versus $107,611,000. That's almost nothing. That's the beauty of the software that Palantir has. The enablement of the software itself costs almost nothing to add the next customer. Beautiful. Cost of revenue didn't go up by much at all. And that's the same time that revenue itself went up by 17%. Not uncommon for a software company, by the way, but it is a beautiful thing. And we love to see it. Great work, Palantir. So what that means is the gross profit number is expanding considerably faster than revenue. Love to see that. Stock-based compensation continues to drop in a major way. Year ago quarter, $140 million. This quarter, Q3 of 2023, $114 million. Balance sheet still in an absolutely ridiculously insane spot. One of the strongest balance sheets in the entire stock market. I don't care what anyone says. Check this out. Not only was it already strong, but we have over $600 million of assets increased on a year-over-year basis at the same time as total liabilities only increased by about $100 million. Adjusted free cash flow margin on a year-over-year basis went from 8% Q3 of 2022 to 25% of Q3 of 2023. All financial metrics across the board are so much better for Palantir, not only on a year-over-year basis, but even on a quarter-over-quarter basis. All of the things that have been said about Palantir, it's a money loser, they're never gonna make money, they don't even have a real business model, they don't even have a real product, etc., etc. And then the most recent thing, once they did flip to profitability, people were saying, well, they're only profitable because of interest income. Although that was true, many of us, people who are shareholders of the company, saw, well, they're about to get that income from operations number in a crazy spot, and you're about to see the income from operations eclipse the net income very quickly. A lot of people were hating on that. Yeah, no way they can do that. They're always going to be a money loser on the income from operations line. Well, look at them now, okay? Where are they now? They're killing it. Every financial metric across the board is absolutely crushing it. The only thing that we can really say is stock-based compensation still a little bit high, but it's coming down. And to be clear, that's not unique to Palantir. Every software company, every tech company, find me a tech company out there that doesn't do stock-based compensation like insane crazy. And then the only other thing you can really say is that the revenue growth rates are a little bit low. This is supposed to be a hyper growth company. Right now, they're a hyper income growth company. They don't have crazy net income. They don't have crazy income from operations, but the growth in those areas is ridiculous. So as long as they can keep that growth crazy while the revenue growth is down a little bit, once the revenue growth picks up and we have that reacceleration of growth, which I think we will have in 2024, then not only are we going to be back to hyper growth company, we're also going to have that net income from operations still soaring to the moon. That's the holy grail for a company like Palantir. And this is all while they've kept their balance sheet pristine. There is a near 0% chance of Palantir going bankrupt. They could very easily pay off all their liabilities right now. The debt number is like close to zero. Liabilities, different situation, but I'm talking about debt. I'm talking about money owed. Damn near zero. Okay, really important. Someone's probably thinking it. What am I doing with Palantir? Am I buying more today? Am I selling because we had this 20% increase? Am I holding? What am I doing with my shares? If you saw my video about Palantir and SoFi going on, it was like 2 videos ago, I'll put the thumbnail up. I have a very large exposure to Palantir. I have an insane gain on Palantir right now. I am not buying any more shares right now. I did become more bullish on Palantir because of this earnings report when I saw the 4x in income from operations and the 3x in GAAP net income in just 1 quarter span. Absolutely insane. But I am not buying any more Palantir right now. I'm chilling. I feel very good about my allocation. I'm actually overweight, and after this 20-ish% move on the day for Palantir, it's an even larger portion of the total portfolio. I'm happy with my allocation of Palantir. I'm not going all in on Palantir. There's plenty of other stocks out there that I want to be buying. There was one stock in my entire portfolio that was down today. I felt like it was absolutely silly that it was down. So I was buying more of that stock today. I wasn't necessarily increasing my exposure to Palantir. If you want to know what that one stock I bought is, consider joining the Patreon down in the pinned comment and the description area, okay? Let me know what you're doing with Palantir out there. How'd you feel about this earnings? Do you feel like this was an A? Do you feel like it was an A+? Do you feel like it was an A-? Do you feel like it was worse than an A? I want to hear about it. This was a crazy quarter for Palantir. Congrats to all my fellow shareholders out there. I hope you had an insane day in your accounts. Definitely Palantir was green for you at the very least. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you're doing in the comments below. Thank you so much. Have a great night.